I'm Lauren. I'm a new Ola from Australia. I've been in Israel nearly 3 years. I studied veterinary science in Australia, and I'm talking as a part of the Faces of Israel website. And my part of it is talking about sort of Aliya and my story of how I got here. Why did I make Aliya? I grew up in Australia, went to a Jewish school, went to university. At school it was fine because everyone was Jewish. Here it was after that, when I was working at university, and after my studying, when I was working, it was a bit harder because I always had to explain myself. There's a lot of really nice stuff here that I like. There's a lot of things that are a lot better than in Australia. But it would be naive to say that everything is the same, and you can't. I came with no expectations, and everything worked out as expected. Of course not. But for me, I think it's a good place to be. I really like there's a good vibe here, which sounds strange, but there is. Israelis are really good at making fun of themselves and other people, and a good sense of humour, and everything is people here are warm, which on the one hand is really nice. People are very it's like one big family, which on the one hand is really nice, and people will help you and give you advice, but on the other hand it's like, I don't want your advice, or they'll shout at you in the street, but that's because they feel comfortable with you. That's because you're like their little brother or something, which is nice for me. You have to take the good with the bad, and I try to look at the good side of that. I was used to, as I said, I went to a Jewish school, and at school everything was fine because we didn't have exams and things on Shabbat, and we had Chagim off. When I went to university, every year I had an exam, for example, on Shabbat, and every year I had to go to the exam office and bring a letter from the rabbi to explain why I couldn't do this exam. And my friends would ask me to go out to the pub on a Friday night, which I couldn't do. And then, when I was at work, the same kind of thing. So for example, it was Rosh Hashanah, and I said to my boss, hey, look, we have the Jewish New Year this week, 2 days, I won't be here. And he was like, can't you just do it in 1 day? And I was like, no, it's 2 days. And then one of the girls nearby, heard, and she was like, but aren't you just going to go, sit on the beach for 2 days? And I was like, no, that's not exactly what we do. And I just got a little, I got tired of having to explain myself, and I got tired of having to, every time there was Chagim, to miss or to, sometimes I had to, work on those days, being in university and things like that, and it was really, really hard to balance it. And I just wanted to be in a place where there were other people in my situation, because I come from a place where the Jewish community is not that big, and not that sort of observant, and I thought, look, I could go to other places in Australia, I could go overseas, but if I'm already moving somewhere, then I should just go to where all the Jews are. How did I decide to come to Israel? I think it was a gradual decision that took a long time. I don't remember one day where I woke up and just said, I'm going to make Aliya. It just came to me over time that I think that was the place where I needed to be. I'd never even been in Israel. By the time when I decided that was eventually where I wanted to wind up, I'd never been to Israel. But I just thought, yalla, let's do it. So once the final decision was made, and there were a few other extenuating factors that made it happen when it did. I went to see the representative of the Jewish agency, and I did an interview, and then I started going through the whole process. And when I got to Israel, then the challenges started. There were some things that were really, really nice at the beginning, and some things that were pretty hard. It's a new culture. People think differently, people behave differently, and you grow up in a place where you're used to the behavioural signals, you're used to behaving a certain way that might not be appropriate in another place. I think the time when I really thought, wow, I'm at home here, this is amazing, was I was with my brother, and it was
winter and it was evening and we were nowhere. We were in like the middle of nowhere. We just come from a kibbutz. We were hungry and we were like, what can we do? So we just went into a supermarket that was there, like nearby, and it happened to be a Yesh. And we went in, and I think it was maybe the first time I'd been in a supermarket in Israel. And I was overwhelmed because I was like, wow, everything is kosher. They sell like sidurim and tefillin here. They have like a bet knesset. They have a shul in the supermarket. And like for me, I was like, wow, like what is this? What is this? But it was just amazing how we could just go in and get what we wanted, which we could never do. So I think in a lot of ways, Israel is also, there's a lot of things here for non-religious people, because a lot of people here aren't religious. A lot of Israelis aren't religious. But there's a culture here that we all identify with. And I think most Jews around the world, even if they don't consider themselves religious, they'll do like a Pesach Seder, or they'll do, like light candles on Hanukah. And it's that sense of identity, that where like everybody does that. Like you go down, I remember my first Hanukkah in Israel, going down to Dizengoff in Tel Aviv, and in store windows, like clothes shop windows, they had like Hanukkah. Like that, and that's not really connected to religion. I mean, yes, it is a religious thing, but it's more of a cultural thing. It's more of an identity thing, and that is worth something. That's pretty special. There's like a sense of camaraderie here. Like it's like a big family.